Alright guys, so in this video we're checking out the Radiomaster T8 Pro. So I did a video a while back on the iFlight version of this radio. So in here, the IF8. Obviously this is the non-pro related version without the screen. But you can see this one has a external antenna, and the T8 Pro does not come with an external antenna, it just uses an internal antenna. But obviously the T8 Pro comes with the screen, and it's detachable, so you can see here what it looks like without the screen on. Then if you're wondering, I know first thing is like, oh, how can I get the screen if I have a version of the radio that doesn't have it? It's available on the Radiomaster website. I don't see it anywhere else. I think it's about $20. So if I'll link that down in the description. If I see it anywhere else other than there, I'll add that to the video description later, but as of today, that's where you can get the screen. But otherwise, the radio is pretty much the same, so I'm just going to be covering what the screen does for you and some of the differences between this one and the other variants that are out there. So there's the Radiomaster T8 Pro, one with a screen, one without. The iFlight version, I don't know if this one comes with a version with a screen or not. If someone knows, let me know. I couldn't find it. As far as I know, this one only comes without the screen, but it does come with an external antenna, and these you can just replace this. I'm pretty sure that this is just a cover on here, and you could probably take it off. Although I tried to remove the cover on this one, the Radiomaster, I couldn't get it off. I didn't want to damage the plastic, so I assume that that's, it's going to be the same. You just have to pop that off somehow. It's pretty difficult to get that off. If you want to use an external antenna, you should probably be able to do that. But you can see there's some minor differences. You have that red accent color here in the middle, and it's black here on the Radiomaster version. And then you have red accent color here in the iFlight, and the switches, and it is black on the Radiomaster version. I think the lights are the same color, yeah, green, and these are white here, but they're blue on the Radiomaster for the power indicator LEDs. You still have the lanyard hook. Same battery inside both, 1000 milliamp hours. Let me turn this off. Now, there's also another version. You guys have seen this on the video with the Seagull. This comes in a kit. As far as I know, this isn't available separately anywhere, although I imagine it probably will come out as a separate radio as well. But yeah, it's all the same gimbals. In this case here, this is it's black, but it doesn't have that silver accent color on the gimbal there. I think it's just a black color, so you can see side by side they don't look the same. The gimbals feel pretty much the same. There's slight variances in the springs, and I don't think that all the springs are exactly the same, because between the three radios here, the springs all feel slightly different on the gimbals. Obviously, it's a cheap radio. It's not bad. It's just I can tell that there's slight variances in the springs between even the three that I have here. But then they went with a cheaper switch cover here. It's just like this. It just looks like that. Really basic. It's probably just to keep the cost down. And again, no antenna here and no screen. But you can these just pop off. The cover just pops off and put the screen on. Now, people asked me before, can you use an external module like on the T-Lite or X-Lights? And no, these pins are totally different. It's meant for just the screen, as far as I know. It's possible that they may allow for some sort of external module later, but you'll need some sort of an adapter if you do that, because obviously the way the pins are here, these flat pins don't work with the existing external modules. So keep that in mind if you are thinking you might want to use an external module with this. Right now, it's not possible. Okay, so back to the Radiomaster here. Again, the chassis and everything, the case all feels the same. Gimbals pretty much feel the same. All the switches feel pretty much the same. Just the big difference is the screen. So people are wondering, well, can you use this without the screen on? Of course you can. you just turn it on without the screen. It just operates like this, so you can't change any of the settings. So basically, the advantage here is you can not have the screen on here if you don't want it, and only use it when you want to change your settings or set up your model. And as long as you don't want to change your model or any of the settings, you can power it up without the screen on, and it'll work just fine. It's just that you won't have any feedback in terms of anything that needs a screen. Now, here's a closer look at the screen itself. You have basically your buttons here. This is the layout, system, return, page forward, page back. On this side, you have model, up, down, enter. And then these are your trim buttons here. Basically left, right, up, and down.
Trim center. Trim center.
And the same over here.
Trim center.
And then you get a little vibration when it centers, and the voice notification. Now, I actually added the SD card on here, so there'll be a link to the SD card contents on the Radiomaster website. I'll link that down in the video description if you want to get that. Obviously, it goes right in here. So I showed this in the first video. There's the USB-C for charging and also for simulator use. And then there is the micro SD card that I added. It does not come with the radio. You have to add that yourself. I did try a 1 gigabyte and a 2 gigabyte card, and did not work with this radio. It would turn on and it would act very strangely, and the voice files wouldn't work either. And so I went to a 4 gigabyte card, and I formatted it FAT32, and then it worked. So if you have problems with your SD card, try a larger one, a 4 gigabyte one. That seemed to work. The smaller ones didn't work for whatever reason. I transferred a 2 gigabyte card from my T12 that works in the T12, but didn't work in this radio. So if you're having problems with the SD card and the SD card contents, it's probably the card, and something probably the SD card reader on this one is a little bit different. So you probably need one that's 4 gigabyte and formatted FAT32, and that one will work. Again, the smaller ones may work for you. Just maybe my cards are no good or just too old. But that 4 gigabytes and FAT32 worked for me. Now, as I mentioned in the previous video on the IF8, this one also only comes with the CC2500 chip. So out of the 4-in-1 module radios, the multi-module radios, this one only comes with the 1 chip instead of the 4 chips. So you don't have the ability to do anything with like FlySky or Spectrum or any of those other related chips, or that I forget what the actual the 4th chip is. I think it's like a lot of toy protocols like Hubsan, etc., those kind of things, SEMA, for example. So if you're interested in a radio that will do all those other protocols on the other 3 chips, then you're going to need something like the T-Lite, which I have here. You can see them side by side what they look like. Yeah, that's the main reason why I'm not going to be switching to the Radiomaster, because the jumper has the 4-in-1 and the Radiomaster does not. And as far as I know, the Radiomaster isn't going to be getting the 4-in-1 module, although that may change in the future. So yeah, but that right now is basically exclusive to the jumper T-Lite. But yeah, the gimbals also, I think, are pretty much the same. They come from the same place, I think. If you compare the 2 right ones here, it's kind of hard to see, but yeah. The gimbal stick ends are a little bit different, but the actual gimbal itself looks the same. They feel pretty much the same as the one on the T-Lite. Now, in terms of the ability to bind with multiple receivers, you can do that, of course. You can also set up multiple models if you want, but you can also just bind multiple receivers to the same model. It works the same as any other OpenTX radio, just that the screen is detachable. Okay, so I'll just give you a little quick tour of the system. And you can see that there's really no difference here. All the tools that are on a typical OpenTX radio are in here as well, although things like Crossfire, they have the Crossfire in here as part of the standard SD card contents. Obviously, Crossfire doesn't work. There's no Crossfire on here. There's no ability to add one. But you can see, you can go to the different pages. You got all your normal setup and settings. You can see here under firmware options, it's kind of funny. They have Crossfire Coast internal and internal multi and multi-module all compiled into this firmware, but yeah, there obviously a lot of these things are kind of used, not really going to be used. And of course, you're going to go into your model settings, and you can see here it's all pretty much the same. It looks like even the mixer on this default model has already been set up, so it should be ready to go. You just have to go into the, I think it's the first page here, yeah, and then go up, and you should be able to bind right here. I think it's on the D8 mode, so you can change your model here. So I think these are all the ones that are available on the CC2500. You can see it's not it's very limited right there. That's pretty much it right there. So that's everything that is on the CC2500. And if you were wondering, I think I might have mentioned this earlier, if you I'm wondering if you want to get the screen separately and use it on the other radios that I showed, the iFlight and the Eachine. They do work. I tested that. No problem. Obviously, all the radios are basically the same with slight badging detail differences and little minor cosmetic differences, but the internals I think are exactly the same. So if you want to use the screen on, if you happen to get the other radios, if you pick it up, you should be able to use that. And basically, I'll have a full OpenTX radio. It's just that you're limited to just the CC2500 chip, and you can't use any of the other ones. All right, so that's going to do it for this one. Hopefully it answered all your questions about this, the Pro version versus the regular version. Links to everything down in the video description if you're interested. If you have any questions, let me know, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.